Chris adjusted his tie as he looked at himself in the mirror. At 28, he was the youngest manager at his company in Calabar. He was married to Lillian, and at 26, she ran her own fashion design business. They had been married for 8 months, and Chris couldn't have asked for a better wife. But lately, something has been bothering both of them. They had been trying to have a baby since their wedding night, but nothing had happened. After running several tests on both Chris and Lillian, the doctor called them into his office with a serious expression. "Mr. Chris, I'm afraid the issue is with you. Your sperm count is very low. But don't worry, we have treatments that can help." For the next 4 years, Chris underwent every treatment the doctors recommended. They tried everything. At the 5th year of their marriage, Lillian's desperation grew, and slowly her imaginary thoughts about whispers from neighbors and family began to eat at her. "Chris, I can't take this anymore. Do you know what people are saying about me? They think I'm the problem. They think I'm barren." "Lillian, please calm down. People know what the doctors say. Who cares what people think? But they don't know that you get to go to work every day like nothing is wrong. When I have to face the shame alone." Chris tried to hold her, but she pushed him away. "Sometimes I think you're happy about this, because you know the blame will always follow me." "Lillian, how can you say that? What's come over you?" "Then why aren't you fighting harder? Why are you so relaxed?" "Because worrying will do nothing. Children will come. We just need to be patient." 6 years into their marriage, Lillian couldn't take the shame anymore. She needed a child desperately, and she would do anything. It started with Chris's younger brother, Emeka. "I need you to help me get pregnant," Lillian pleaded with him. For 2 weeks, Lillian begged and pleaded, but he refused. She told him how much Chris wanted the children, how happy it would make him. She convinced him that he would be helping his brother, not betraying him. Finally, Emeka agreed. After 2 months with no results, Lillian began to panic. "Maybe it's not working because we are related," she told herself. That's when she returned to Chris's friends. Matt had been Chris's best friend since university. He was tall, handsome, and had always had a crush on Lillian. Lillian had noticed this, and now she planned to use it. "Okay," he said. "I will help you," Matt said without much hesitation. But Matt was different from Emeka. After their first time together, he wanted more. After 3 months with Matt, still nothing happened. Lillian was getting desperate. She began approaching other friends of Chris. For 8 months, Lillian continued this pattern. After her husband's friends, she proceeded to strangers. She told herself she was doing it for Chris, for their marriage. Then one day, Lillian woke up feeling sick. With shaking hands, she took a pregnancy test. She was pregnant. But whose baby is it? She had been with so many men in the past year that she had lost count. But that didn't matter now. What mattered was making Chris believe the baby was his. "Chris," she called out, running to the living room where her husband was reading the newspaper. "I'm pregnant." Chris dropped the newspaper, his face showing complete shock. Chris stood up slowly as if he couldn't believe what he was hearing. For the first time in years, Chris looked truly happy. All the treatments had worked. All their prayers had been answered. While all this happened, Lillian was already in the snare of Matt, who kept asking for sex or he would expose her. Well, here's the twist. Lillian made every man she slept with think he was the first and only one, but they all moved on except Matt. As the months passed, something strange began happening. In the 5th month, no scan could detect if the fetus was male or female, and its shape keeps changing. At some point, the doctors wondered if she was carrying a human being. Along with the strange ultrasounds, Lillian began experiencing severe problems. She was sick every day, unable to keep food down. She had to close her fashion business because she was too weak to walk. Some days, Lillian would wake up and not recognize Chris. She would scream at him, calling him a stranger, demanding to know what he was doing in her house. This episode would last for days before she returned to normal. Other nights, she would have nightmares so terrible that she would be unable to sleep for days. Chris bought numerous sleeping pills, but nothing helped. By the 8th month, Lillian was in constant pain. She would cry for hours, holding her belly. "It feels like he's trying to claw his way out," she told Chris through tears. Their family doctor, Dr. Felix, finally made the decision to deliver the baby early. "We can't wait any longer. Both baby and mother are in danger. If we don't deliver now, we might lose them both." After the surgery, Chris met with the doctor. Your wife is stable, he announced. Is it a boy or a girl? We are still not sure. The baby is still unusual. Lillian and Chris were confused by what they saw when they went to see their child in the nursery. The baby looked almost normal, but something was off. And even the nurses seemed uncomfortable around the baby. It would sleep for days without waking, then suddenly be alert for hours, staring at everyone with eyes that seemed too old for an infant. After 2 weeks in the hospital, Lillian and the baby were finally discharged. The doctor still couldn't determine the baby's sex, promising it would become clearer as the child grew. At home, the real nightmare began. When Lillian tried to breastfeed, the baby beat her nipple so hard that she screamed in pain. "Chris!" she called out. Chris rushed to the bedroom to find Lillian bleeding, with the baby still in her arms crying. "Babies don't have teeth yet," Chris said, examining the baby's mouth. They immediately went to the hospital. Dr. Felix examined both Lillian and the baby. After running several tests, he called Chris into his office. "The baby is not yours." "What do you mean?" Chris asked. "The DNA test shows that you are not the father of this child." "But doctor, is that possible? There is something else. This baby is not entirely human." "What are you talking about, doctor?" "Well, the genetic test shows that this child is half human and half something else. Something we've never seen before." Chris stumbled out of the doctor's office in shock. He couldn't think clearly. He couldn't breathe. He left the hospital and drove to a quiet resort where he could think. He sat by the pool trying to process what he had learned when he heard his name. "Chris!" "Ah, guy, what are you doing here?" Chris looked up to see Matt walking toward him. "Matt, what are you doing here too?" "I just needed some peace and quiet." "But you look terrible. What's wrong?" Chris was so broken that he told Matt everything. As Chris spoke, Matt's phone kept buzzing with calls from Lillian. "Who keeps calling you?" Chris asked. "Oh, nobody important." But Matt was terrified after Chris's news. If the baby was half beast, and if it might be his baby, what did that mean for him? Meanwhile, Chris returned home 3 days later filled with rage. "Chris, thank God you're back," Lillian said, running to embrace him. "Don't you touch me! That beast baby is not mine, Lillian." "What are you talking about?" Lillian asked. "The doctors did a DNA test. That thing is not my child." "Chris, I can explain." "Explain what? How you've been lying to me? How you've been cheating on me?" Lillian fell to her knees crying. "I'm sorry, Chris. I'm so sorry. It was just a one-time affair, I swear." "I don't care. I'm giving you 7 days to bring me the father of that baby or else." For the next week, Lillian lived in hell. The baby continued to torment her day and night. Desperately, she began calling all the men she had been with. One by one, they all refused helping her, saying they want nothing to do with her. The 7 days passed and Lillian couldn't produce a single man willing to claim the baby. That night, Chris packed his bags and left, while rejecting all of Lillian's calls and texts. One morning, she couldn't take it anymore. She took a pillow and pressed over the baby's face. Shaking, she carried the small body to the backyard and began digging a grave. But when she turned around to get the baby's body, it was gone. She ran back into the house and froze. The baby was lying in its crib, very much alive, staring at her. Lillian screamed. This time, she grabbed the kitchen knife. She stabbed the baby repeatedly until she was sure it was dead. She wrapped the body in garbage bags, drove to a dump site far from her house, and threw it away with other trash. Then she drove straight to her mother's house in Ibadan, too afraid to return home. Her mother, who knew the whole story of Lillian's desperate search for a child, held her daughter as she cried. The next morning, Lillian's phone had 20 missed calls from Chris. She called back, but before she could say anything, Chris barked, "You lying slut! You've made a mockery of me before my friends. You told me it was a one-night stand. Meanwhile, you were sleeping with all my friends and lying to them too because you couldn't believe me and wait. I don't want to hear from you ever again." Before Lillian could say another word, he hung up. Months later, Lillian apologized to Chris's friends and asked them to help her plead with Chris. Chris's parents also intervened. After 6 months of pressure from family and friends, Chris finally agreed to see Lillian. It took another year of counseling, prayer, and patience, but slowly, Chris and Lillian began to rebuild their marriage. They moved to a new house in Abuja, far from the memories in Calabar. In the end, they learned that the greatest miracle was not the child they had desperately wanted, but the love they had almost lost and found again.